strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful, we are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.
We are into the second month of the year, and I hope your expectations for the year are taking shape. Today on Able Differently, we bring you events from the International Day of Persons with Disabilities for the year 2022. My name is Jane Theuri, and this is Able Differently.
We're differently abled, differently.
Narok County played host for the 2022 International Day of Persons with Disabilities on 3rd of December. Take a look.
The 2022 International Day of Persons with Disabilities was celebrated on the 3rd of December as the norm. In Kenya, the day was marked in Narok County.
International Day of Persons with Disability is a day set aside by the United Nations to promote and understanding of disability issues and mobilize support for the dignity, rights, and well-being of persons with disability. It is also a day that seeks to increase awareness of the gains to be driven from the integration of persons with disability in every aspect of political, social, economical, and cultural life.
This day accords us the opportunity to reflect on what we as a nation have done to remove the barriers that hinder persons with disabilities to participate in all sectors of development. It also provides an opportunity for persons with disabilities to celebrate their achievements, capabilities, and families while focusing on areas of collaboration with the government and partners in the disability sector.
The day brings together all stakeholders to benchmark on the milestones that have been made so far.
I am pleased to note that the county government of Narok has a strong tradition in ensuring inclusivity of persons with disability, especially in employment and sport. As for today, this government has been able to accommodate and given an all equal priority and opportunities to the people living with disability, both in employment and government tender. The county government of Narok has so far employed 40 persons with disability who are equally spread across all ranks.
Kitambo, mtu mlemavu alikuwa anaonekana kama ni burden, ni mzigo kwa jamii. Na kitambo, mtoto mlemavu akizaliwa, birth attendants are given specific instruction to kill them at birth. Na wengi wameuawa kwa kutumia cholesterol kama chakula ya kwanza, inaganda kwa tumbo na anakufa. Wengine wanatumia sniffing tobacco, wanaweka kwa maji, wanapatiwa kama chakula ya kwanza, ina perforate intestine, huyo mtoto anakufa kwa uchungu mingi sana. Wengine wanatupa kwa zizi la ngamia ili wakanyangwe ili wakuwe mbolea. Watoto wengine walemavu wanafichwa. Kwa saa hizi watu walemavu katika nchi ya Kenya walipi ushuru. Watu walemavu katika nchi ya Kenya wana import vehicle duty free. Watu walemavu katika nchi ya Kenya 5% of employment is reserved for persons with disability. Watu walemavu wana access kandarasi ya serikali through what we call access to government procurement opportunities. Katika serikali hii board mingi ya management ya mashule, pia board ya parastatals, kuna representation ya watu walemavu.
Previously, registering people with disability has been a painful process, and the process was so tedious and so painful for persons with disabilities. Because now the health services is a devolved function, literally 90%, if not even 100%, we felt we have to work with the county government to register all persons with disability. In that process, also county government were going to be custodians of the records of that assessment, because the assessment will be conducted in the county referral hospitals, level 4 and level 5. And county director of health or county director of medical service is the main person, the main man or the main woman who will be signing. That's a big milestone for us. And as you know very well, today also the CS will be distributing nearly 200 digital cards that we have produced, and not only for Narok but across the country. Kadi yetu ikakuwa soko ya watu, hata nyinyi unajua. Anybody can fabricate. But this time round we decided to put security features into it, including with the QR code that just from the comfort of where you are sitting in your phone, you can say this card is genuine, the name is there, the picture is there, the nature of the disability of the person is there.
5% ya employment bado haijaweza kufikiwa. Kweli ama sio kweli? Walemavu wanahitaji kazi ama hawahitaji kazi? So tunataka kuona 5% katika hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza wawe ni watu walemavu. Jambo la pili, pesa ya National Council haitoshi, bado ni kidogo. Isikatwe wakati inakatwa, ndio tuweze kununulia watu wheelchairs, na pia tuweke sunscreen lotion pale, hearing aids, ama namna gani watu wangu? Tupatie vikundi na mambo kama haya. Na pia tuhakikishe kwamba tumeongeza pesa ya LPO financing. Ndio ukipatiwa tenda ya disability, hiyo pesa pia ifikie walemavu, wapatiwe mkopo na Harun Hassan hapa, waende kufanya biashara, wakuwe matajiri, ndio wasimame viti next time. Ama namna gani? Jambo lingine, ukiangalia National Council establishment yake Madam CS ni only 40%. Hapa kuna huyu ndugu yetu county coordinator. Tungependa kila county iwe na wafanyikazi wa kutosha, magari ya kutosha, walemavu kama vile my friend Grace Sinatoi alisema, ni watu wa kwenda polepole, wafikiwe kwa manyumba, waweke wasaidike katika uchumi na serikali yetu. Kweli ama sio kweli?
As the host county, Narok governor committed to incorporate persons with disabilities in his workforce.
Pursuant to the national government actions, we have as well continued to set aside a percentage of tenders duly dedicated to persons with disability. Our bursary program, all the 30 wards of Narok County has factored in and created representation in all the committees for the persons with disabilities. This alongside the continued tax exemption and extended retirement aid. Accordingly, I wish to hereby emphasize that government will continue to give priority to all the persons with disability, and hereby urge them to constantly get the requisite academic qualification, and most importantly, participate and apply for all jobs and tenders that fall available in the county.
Ms. Christina Pratt said that His Excellency President Ruto has also given his assurance to support persons with disabilities.
President Ruto ndio patron wetu wa hii fund. Tumeshamtembelea tayari kwa State House tukiwa Board of Trustees, na ametuhakikishia, na tafadhali msikie vizuri, walemavu wote, they are going to give maximum support to the disabled community.
The Cabinet Secretary for Labor and Social Protection also reiterated her commitment in ensuring that Persons with Disability Act of 2003 is reviewed.
My ministry has been working on the review of the Persons with Disabilities Act 2003 to align it with the Constitution of Kenya and the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the realities of the present times. The Persons with Disabilities Bill 2021 has since gone through all the requisite stages in the National Assembly and was submitted to the Senate during the 12th Parliament. However, because it was not passed during the 12th Parliament, we have to restart the circle and take it back to the National Assembly and then the Senate for it to be assented to. The passing of the bill into the new law will surely transform the disability agenda in our country. My desire is to have a new law for persons with disabilities before the end of this financial year.
For now, we take a short break, but we will return with more events that were held to mark this important day in the calendar of persons with disabilities.
We're differently abled, differently. We're differently abled, differently.
Welcome back, and you are watching Abled Differently. UNFPA supported university students in marking the International Day of Persons with Disabilities at Safari Park, Nairobi. Take a look at that coverage.
United Nations Population Fund alias UNFPA Youth Advisory Panel was held at Safari Park Hotel on 3rd December 2022 with this year's theme being Transformative Solution for Inclusive Development, which is in line with International Day for Persons with Disabilities.
It's a day that's meant to bring all key stakeholders to come together and celebrate the persons with disabilities, but also to identify the key gaps that needs to be addressed for young persons with disabilities so that we can have an inclusive society and an equitable world for young persons with disabilities. Well, all persons with disabilities, not just the young persons. We wanted to unite all students with disabilities across Kiambu and Nairobi to come in together and celebrate this day, and also to hear from them what they feel they want UNFPA to address their needs. Because again, as much as we're celebrating the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, as UNFPA Youth Advisory Panel, we still have to align to our mandate, and that is under Sexual and Reproductive Health Rights. So we have brought them here all together as young persons to discuss the gaps that are there, what they feel that the United Nations Populations Fund, that is UNFPA, needs to do for them to ensure that they have accessibility to their sexual and reproductive health rights. The common statement, there is nothing for us without us. So building the resilience of young persons is actually involving them from all the steps. All the way from planning to the implementation. So if it needs young persons with disabilities, then it means don't just involve them at the implementation. Have them all the way from planning process, all the way you figure out all the challenges together and you solve them all together. So it brings in that aspect of inclusivityness, and it also helps you as an organization to ensure that you don't leave anything behind, because you are targeting this population of persons with disabilities. So having them on board, it's one of the starts to ensure that you reach your goals.
The event was very helpful to students who managed to attend. A student at the Kenyatta University speaks on the benefit of attending the event.
I've been able to learn some of the issues and also challenges that are facing persons with disability, more so when it comes to sexual education. And I've come to learn that there's a big need that organizations like hospital and also education ministry need to impact on as far as sexual education is concerned as person with disability. People are getting to understand us, like you have seen I'm a person with albinism, but there's still need for sensitization in the society for people to understand that also person with albinism are also human being as any other person, and I feel like that's what we are doing as Black Albinism. We are creating awareness through games and also music. So I believe in the coming 5 years, people will embrace us and treat us as other people, other human beings, because albinism is just the issue of lack of melanin in skin.
Kigen Korir, a youth specialist at the United Nations Population Fund, speaks on how to create awareness about sexual and reproductive health needs.
When you look at sexual and reproductive health, for example, you can imagine even for the general population, this is normally pretty much a very sensitive topic. So when you look at, a number of cases, for example, of gender-based violence, we have a lot of defilement cases of children, young people with disability. It could be within the home setup, it could be in school. So GBV cases tend to be very high, particularly, for example, even people who have mental disability. And a reporting of such cases becomes a very big problem. Of course, I've talked about the information needs. To what extent do we have deliberate action to ensure that all categories of persons with disability have the information? Because really the whole essence of being healthy and making sure that people have access to not only reproductive health services is making sure that they have the information. So, like I said, we need to have packaged information for the different categories of persons with disability to make sure that they're able to access the same. And then I think one of the biggest barriers is about the healthcare workers. There's a lot of, sometimes judgment on persons with disabilities accessing reproductive health services, and that has to change. For you to be able to get that service, to be able to provide that service in a way that is respectful, responsive, they really need to understand the dynamics of persons with disabilities and really avoid being judgmental on that.
The event's objectives were met thanks to the various stakeholders that were involved.
International Day of Persons with Disabilities, it's just a day that was put by the UN to highlight the needs of persons with disabilities. But it does not mean that we only focus on them on 3rd of December. Persons with disabilities have equal rights as every other human. So from 1st of January all the way to 31st of December, all these days in between means that you should also involve persons with disabilities. Think of their needs every single second, every single day of these times of the year, because they also matter, they also have their rights.
The University of Nairobi celebrated the International Day of Persons with Disabilities at their main campus in Nairobi on the 2nd of December 2022. Different stakeholders present engaged in a panel discussion that focused on universities and industry as catalysts for the realization of the 5% employment opportunities for persons with disabilities. Frederick Ouko, the founder of Riziki Source, has been at the forefront in training human resource departments on matters disability. He expressed his concerns on issues of ignorance being used as an excuse in many organizations as a defense mechanism to escape from doing the required as per the law.
Being an ally of persons with disability, understanding, empathizing, not sympathizing, empathizing, you'll be part and parcel of the solutions that then will get us to the next step. Because of that, that's where we can be, but also we provide a solution. We train HR people on understanding disability so that they don't say, we don't know how to deal with someone with. So if they tell you another time, send them to me. I will tell them what is the bill of removing their ignorance around that. Because we live in a society that we should be able to know what our neighbor is, how our neighbor feels in certain circumstances. So people cannot say, I don't know. That's ignorance. And ignorance has no defense, right?
Stephanie Bitengo, a Gender and Social Development Officer, spoke on inclusivity, urging the university management to incorporate into their curriculum the training of future employers to understand the concept of inclusion while providing employment.
One of the things we want to recognize is that policy making is almost a political process. And if we do not have buy-in from most of these parliamentarians, just as Mheshimiwa is saying, then it becomes very difficult for them to pass some of these laws. I know that we have, as a State Department, we always engage with the Parliament, particularly the Labour and Welfare Committee, to try and push in some of this. Sometimes we succeed, many times, Mheshimiwa, we don't succeed. So we have to go back to the drawing table. So engaging with the citizens at this particular point, I think, would be one thing that we need to do as citizens. And so just to speak to the policies, I know that we have a policy, and maybe we'll now need to again re-engage with the Parliament. As we all know, this is a new Parliament, so that we can be able to push this policy for approval at Parliament level and adoption from Parliament. I think Cabinet level and adoption from Parliament, I think this is one of the things we want to do so that we become more inclusive. The policy has undergone quite a bit of stakeholder consultations, and I want to believe that once it gets to Parliament, again, it will go back to more public participation, and hopefully we can be able to be inclusive. So yes, we do have some policies. We already have a law on disability. So in that regard, I think we really are appreciative that the law is there. And the law is already, the reviewed law is in Parliament now at the Senate level, and we are hoping to get feedback on that law and probably just to have it enacted into law. And it's much more comprehensive than what the law in 203 was providing for.
Andrew Liose, a student at the university, in his parting shot, concluded by challenging learning institutions on availing areas conducive and disability-friendly for sporting events for persons with disabilities.
It's high time we do some major investments in disability. It is one of the things that is the most expensive around. Disability is very expensive, honestly. And we need to do some great investments. And as we said, the best way to invest in disability is through education, because that is the only way for disabled people to grow. Like by education, I mean in all things, all the aspects, both the curriculum and the co-curriculum. For instance, I think the co-curriculum part has been given a lot of assumptions. There is no major improvement done in the co-curriculum. For instance, if you noticed today while we were doing our sports, we were doing the parachase under a tent. Why don't we have a place where parachase can be played? These are a challenge to all the universities now, not only UN. For instance, the basketball was being played in a parking area. Like, let's establish places where these things can be happening, and that's a challenge to both the university and the corporates.
Professor Collins Odote summarized the debate while appreciating all participants and the issues discussed. He also encouraged the stakeholders to keep the conversations going.
I think we've had an excellent conversation that has generated several things. My key takeaways is the need for increased partnership between industry and universities, with several ideas, including the ideas of universities retooling the people they train, looking at their curriculum, Professor Ogengo, ensuring that our curriculum is addressing the concerns of HR practitioners so that we don't wait until they go to the market. They are socialized when they are here. Secondly, I think a challenge from Stephanie for the universities, that can we increase our research to be able to ensure that we are proposing ideas as to how government can be able to generate better programs for responding to disability issues. We've also had suggestions about what industry can do more, including partnering with universities to be able to provide assistive devices to compensate for some of the deficit from government, including the suggestions about providing internship and mentorship opportunities for university students. Let us not just have these conversations. Let these conversations translate to policy, translate to law.
Let's take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Article 25 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties shall, Part B, provide those health services needed by persons with disabilities, specifically because of their disabilities, including early identification and intervention as appropriate, and services designed to minimize and prevent further disabilities, including among children and older persons.
And here is the tip for the day.
We've talked about barriers that the persons with disability in general normally face when it comes to access to services. I think there are many barriers that you can be able to look at. One is the physical barriers. Some of the facilities are not well tailored to meet the needs of the persons with disability. You can imagine going to a facility, there's no ramp, and you have to access the services. So that's one really big barrier. I think the other component, of course, is the healthcare workers and their preparedness in terms of really being able to provide the services to persons with disabilities, persons with different kind of disabilities. The people with hearing impairment, for example, if they go for a service and the person who is supposed to serve them doesn't understand sign language, so how do they communicate?
We've come to the end of the show, but be sure to enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Jane Thauri. Goodbye.
We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.